Hi everyone and welcome to the English of Everything. This lesson today is called How We See the World. And the reason it's called How We See the World is because everybody on this planet sees things in a slightly different way. And we call this thing perspective. And every situation that happens in the world and everybody who witnesses this situation sees it in a slightly different way and forms slightly different opinions about these situations. This is why in the world we have some very positive people who really enjoy life, they enjoy what they're doing, they think the world is a wonderful place, and they generally have fun with their lives. We also have a lot of negative people in the world who think everything is terrible and the world's coming to an end and life is so hard and it's such a bad place to be. The situation on the planet is exactly the same for both of these people. It's just the perspective, the focus, and the way they see these situations. This is how forms their opinions. For example, in Europe at the moment, there's a situation regarding migrants and immigrants. You've probably seen it on the news with lots of people coming from different countries, some from war, some from economic situations, and they're coming to Europe. And there are two very different groups of people, how they see this. The first group think it's very good and we should welcome people and open our arms and help people who are in need. The second group, they think that they shouldn't be allowed in. This is our place and they should go somewhere else and basically kick them out. The situation with the people is exactly the same, but the perspective from each different side is different. Due to the media, due to propaganda, due to the way people's upbringings have been, everything like this. So this is the different perspectives of people to the same situation. So there are also other things to do with perspective. And there's also perspective regarding space. For example, in front of me right now, if I move my arms a little bit like this, you can see that I'm slightly away. But in front of me now, you can see that I have 2 wine glasses and 2 plant pots. They look generally the same size, but in fact, they are all very different. You can see that this wine glass is extremely big. Whereas if I move forward like this, you can see that this wine glass is quite small. The plant pot at the front, let me give you a demonstration by running around. This plant pot is quite small, next to this very large plant pot. But because of the distance between these, it makes them look very similar size. So this is perspective, how you view the world. And the situation in front of me is exactly the same, but where I sit, where I look, where the camera is, changes the perspective of the objects. I'm going to show you now 2 other things as a demonstration of perspective. So let's go on to the second one. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you now involves a piece of paper and a pencil. Because when we talk about perspective, a lot of times in art it's used. When someone paints a picture or draws a picture, it must be in perspective so it looks realistic. If it's just 2-dimensional, it's just like a cartoon character that's just there. But if it's in perspective, it looks a lot more realistic. So I'm going to show you now how to very simply draw something in perspective. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the pencil and we're going to draw a dot on the end of this line, and then we're going to draw a straight line. You will notice I don't have a ruler, so I'm using this DVD box. Some people have the impression that you need to always have a proper equipment and everything, but that's just their perspective. My perspective is you can use anything to get the same job done. And for the purpose of this video, it doesn't have to be so good. It's just a rough demonstration. So with this DVD box, I'm going to draw a straight line across the paper. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's good enough. And draw another dot or another point on the other side of this paper. And what I'm going to do now is just draw a vertical line. And this type of perspective in drawing is perfect for when you're drawing buildings, you're drawing landscapes, or things that are moving away, going away into the distance from you. So once we have this vertical line, we're going to connect it to the dot. So we'll draw a line here, and we shall draw another line from the top. And I'll turn it round, and from the other point, I shall draw this and another line to the dot. So now we have these triangles, and all we have to do is draw another couple of vertical lines. So I have one here, depending on how you want to make the building. So from this point, you draw another line from here, so we go down and across, and from this point, we can just go, probably it's best to have a ruler because then you have the straight line across it. And as you can see here, if I make it a bit thicker, we now have a perfect straight box which is in perspective leading into the distance. Excuse the wobbly line. So there is your box. If you rub out these, you have the same perspective. And you can do this anywhere on the page. All you need is a vertical line, link it to the dots, and do the same thing. So we'll do a very rough one like this. Do the dot. Another vertical line. Another vertical line here. And very simply just connect them up. And you have your three-dimensional shapes. And this is perspective with space. So there you have it. That's how you draw objects in perspective going into the distance. So let's move on to the third one now. Okay, so the third thing I'm going to teach you about perspective involves this orange. And I imagine you would agree this is a nice juicy orange. But if I told you this is not an orange, this is a red apple. It's a red juicy apple and I'd love to take a bite into it. You would swear to me that this is an orange, wouldn't you? I'm sure you would. But I can also swear to you that it is not an orange at all. It is an apple. And we could go backwards and forwards all day long and argue about it. This is an orange, this is an apple. And you would be 100% convinced that you are right. But if I turned the orange round and showed you this side, and I am looking at an apple, and now you, if I held it like this, you would say, I can see an apple, and I would swear that I could say, I can see an orange. And this is a demonstration that in almost every situation in life, it's not always so clear. And we have the expression in English, it's not always black and white. There are some grey areas as well. And so next time you see a situation you don't like or you like, always think about it that there may be other sides to the situation, different perspectives that you don't see. So when other people form different opinions about the situation, it may just be a case of their perspective. They see something that you simply don't, and you see something that they simply don't. So what you have to do is describe your situation to the other person as clearly as you possibly can, so that they get a clear picture of what you're seeing and understand your perspective. There's no use arguing, this is an orange, you're wrong, you're terrible, this is wrong, or this is an apple, this is everything, and you're wrong. If you both describe it, you will both understand that you are seeing things from a different perspective, and so you have a different view of the situation. And this can avoid a lot of conflict, a lot of stress, and a lot of aggravation. So always remember about perspective. There's perspective of space, perspective of ideas, and perspective of focus and vision. So this is everything I'm going to talk about today. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson. Okay, everyone. Bye-bye. Take care.